Welcome to Quakeworld. No, it's not some weird expo on reinforcing your home in an earthquake zone. Instead, it's a netcode patch for a game that turned it into a late 90s online hazing ritual. And it has it all. Instant feedback. Thanks to its client-side prediction, you'll know you died the exact millisecond it happened, which will also be the exact millisecond that someone will type EZ into the chat. Truly a triumph of synchronization. It has free coaching, because every death will come with unsolicited all-caps analysis of exactly what you did wrong, delivered by somebody whose own aim you cannot verify because they refuse to ever join the server you're on. Community configs, lovely, handcrafted by forum legends who will absolutely make fun of your field of view settings, your mouse DPI, your keyboard, and somehow your personality, all from a single config file. They also have a nice, warm welcome for newcomers, usually defined as getting strafe jumped past, rocket jumped over, railed through a wall, and then informed via chat that you should uninstall. All within the first, say, 45 seconds of joining a public server. Ooh, and then there's the clan culture. Join a clan. Gain access to a whole new tier of people. To disappoint. Lose a scrim and enjoy a post-match breakdown that somehow turns into a referendum on your entire life choices. And then, spectator mode. Watch top players. Listen to top players. Regret ever making eye contact with top players in the server lobby. Quakeworld. The netcode is instant. The insults are instanter.
Recall.
Welcome back to Retro Recall, the show with more nostalgia than that feeling you get when you accidentally telefragged your opponent and told yourself, I did that on purpose. What are we talking about, John?
Today we are jumping back into a true turning point in gaming, the first real endeavor into making video games competitive from afar. Ooh.
What?
No more standing or sitting next to one another. Quake actually launched the entire concept of online gaming.
Yeah, well, it really showed that it was possible. It's not like other games hadn't done it, but this is the one that, we're going to get into it. Yeah, but they're the ones who...
They did it.
This is how it's supposed to be done, and this is going to work, and here's how. Yeah, so
we're going to do what the game is, what are memories of it, and why the game is so important. But as always, we start with a little, time warp. So its release... So it was released on MS-DOS in 1996, on June 22nd, which is interesting because Windows 95 obviously was out then. Top and I were trying to figure this one out. Because DOS was more available. It's not today where Windows is everywhere.
Right. But you could still play DOS games on a Windows PC, so it worked out. Yeah, exactly.
And it was made by ID Software, the makers of Doom.
Yeah. You always call it ID and I always call it id, like id ego. I think it came from... I don't know.
I have no idea. But one of us is right.
One of those. However you want to pronounce it. Comment and let us know how you pronounce it.
Yeah. Now, number one song in America at this time, The Crossroads by Bone Thugs and Harmony. I don't care. I was in high school. CDs were out at this point. I don't care.
Oh, this one. My friends and I made fun of this song so much.
The nice thing is this was at the point where I had a Walkman. So music ceased for me. I only had to listen to what I liked.
Yeah.
It didn't matter anymore. Cool. I was done. This is 1996, and I had a good year. I had Roots by Sepultura, Evil Empire by Rage Against the Machine. I don't like Marilyn Manson, but Antichrist Superstar was this year, his biggest hit. Great Southern Trend Kill by Pantera. Great. You're getting Punk, Real Big Fish, Turn the Radio Off. Less Than Jake Pezcore, because Ska's really doing well.
Yeah.
Anti-Flag, Die for the Government. They were hit and miss. Bad Religion, Gray Race, Descendants came back. All was gone. Now Milo's back. We got Everything Sucks. Then in indie, the Sublime album, which that album I heard way too much of. Modest Mouse, they dropped 2 albums that year.
Yeah, this is interesting because you bring up Modest Mouse on this one. And this is one of those bands that I didn't realize went that far back.
Yeah. They dropped, I think they did 2 albums that year,
crazy.
Actually, 96.
Yeah.
That's one of the thing. Then Wesley Willis, if you don't know who that is.
Yes.
That's a treat. Now, box office. I decided I was doing a new thing with box office. I'm just doing things that are epic. And, we get The Rock. It's so bad. If you haven't seen The Rock,
The movie The Rock,
go see The Rock.
Not the wrestler / movie star The Rock.
Either way, go
Right.
see both. Go
Okay.
see both. The movie The Rock is a movie you watch, think about for 5 minutes, and go, wait, what the hell was that?
What is this fever dream?
The movie Dogma actually makes significantly more sense than the movie The Rock.
Wow, that's an interesting
Massively
pull.
more sense.
Wasn't Dogma not even available for like years or something? Like it wouldn't.
Kevin
Something
Smith
about it?
protested Dogma. There's a great video of it when it was coming out. Kevin Smith actually protested his own movie.
Yes.
It's a hilarious news coverage. But the only thing in my mind worse than The Rock is Con Air. So there you go.
Okay. Okay.
But we also, now let me let you guys hear. There's another movie that came out in June of 1996. And this is a surprise to me because if I told you that they made a superhero movie where there's a super powered ring, pirates, a guy getting killed by sharks, and Billy Zane, would you believe it was not a box office smash?
It was too far ahead of its time.
Somehow the Phantom did not do very well in the theater. It may have had something to do with the fact the movie really sucked. But there you go.
That's a good
There's
reason.
the other movie in the theater, The Phantom.
Yeah.
I have seen it. I
barely remember anything about this. But now that you bring it up, I have like a mental image of maybe what the poster kind of looked like, but I don't think I ever saw it.
He's in a purple jumpsuit with a black mask.
Yeah.
Billy Zane, and I believe it's an African heirloom too. So add that into your mix of things that make this movie uncomfortable.
Appropriation.
But
Cool.
anyway, let's get into Quake. So
let's do it.
Whew. Now, when we went to cover Quake, there was a lot of options for us, and there were obviously a lot of Quakes. Even within Quake, there were lots of Quakes.
There's lots of Quakes.
So
there's
Quakes on Quakes on Quakes.
For clarity, you mean like Quake 1, Quake 2, Quake 3, the DLCs for each, the mods for each, the updates, the stuff id put out afterwards in order to make things work online, like all of that stuff.
There's so much stuff. So what we wanted to focus on here is the multiplayer, because our goal of this little series is to get us to Fortnite, Call of Duty, all of this stuff. Because in modern day gaming, these are massive games. I mean, billions of people are playing them. Where'd they start from? They started at Quake, candidly. And we're going to start with Quake, and then the games we're going to cover from here on out are going to show how this began to grow from a small spot. Quake started 1996, and it's a very small thing. In 1996, it was what we call LAN capable. So you could throw it on the internet and it could play over a local area network.
Yeah. So not on the internet, but in your local network. So like, for example, if you were at a college or university, and then they had, I don't know, a computer room or something like that, you could set this up on all the computers at the thing.
And you could play against each other.
Yeah.
But eventually, people wanted to play on the internet. And Quake did reach into this. The problem is that you were looking at pretty bad. This is dial-up, guys.
Yeah.
We're not doing gigabyte. We're not doing megabyte. We are doing kilobyte speed in some cases.
24,000 kilobytes per second, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And, or kilobits. Was it bits? Somebody's going to correct me on that. Bits, right?
It's bits.
Yeah. And because of that, it was all going through the phone lines. It wasn't like we had completely separate fiber for internet and all of that. It had to go through the phone lines. There was a ton of latency. We're talking a third, a half of a second at times of latency. That's crazy. Try getting headshots aren't really a Quake thing, but try getting headshots when you can't tell your enemy's going to be half a second from now.
So in 1996, the same year as release, so later in the year, about December-ish time, Quakeworld is released. It's a free update for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they did something there that still exists today because they decided, we think we know, and that's all it is, we think we know how to fix this lagging issue. And it was just basically using Newtonian physics. And that's all this was. I mean, if you look at it, all this is Newtonian physics. An object in motion will stay in motion until affected otherwise. Mm-hmm. So what it did was, instead of you doing an input, that input loading into the game then loading that into the internet, and then that being broadcast out, they basically said, well, what are you moving? Cool. We assume you're going to keep moving till the game tells me you stop moving.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah. So it reduces the total amount of communication between your PC, the other person's PC, or a server that everyone's going to, and then back to all the other PCs.
That is how every single multiplayer game works today in 2026.
Yeah. It's predictive is what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
30 years ago. And it was just on a whim. They made this.
Yeah.
As a result, the first esports game is created. Mostly in Europe, I would note this. Interestingly, the first big Quake stuff was all in Europe. This is before Quake 2 and Quake 3. This is Quake 1. It's also the launch of Team Fortress, which is a fun little side project. Yeah. A bunch of engineers were like, what if Quake had more of a D&D element to it? And someone went, all right, let's do that too. But what I want to spend time on, this is the main focus of tonight, is what this did, because this created an online gaming experience that had never existed before at this caliber. People had done stuff, don't get me wrong. There were games you could play online. Chess had been online well before this.
Right.
I mean, like those things, but nothing like this, nothing that was competitive
and fast and live. And
chess is competitive, but live,
live actual things moving around, not turn-based, not you move here, I move here, not even an RTS like Warcraft, where it's like I can move my little guys and they only move so fast, so we've got time for things to communicate back and forth. We're talking like you're shooting your nail gun and it's tracking all the little nails and it's got to hit dude running full speed across the map, that kind of stuff.
And these guys set this up for everything that came afterwards. So that's what we're talking about today. So let's talk about trying to get back into this game, Tom.
Yeah, man. Tell me about it. Because this was one of my favorite. If I had to, I'm so bad at favorites, but if I had to list all-time favorite games based on how I felt about them when they came out, this is going to be one of the games that would be at the very top of my list. It's probably in my top 3.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I am not a first-person shooter person in general. So I played Quake back in the day, wasn't a huge fan of it. Nothing against it, just it felt the same to me as all the other ones. Now, I will tell a funny story about this. So I wanted to dive all in. In order to dive all in, not only did I download Quake, but I went and found a way to play Quake online. And I found some of the original servers. So I went, okay, let's go for this. And I don't know if you guys have seen this South Park where they covered World of Warcraft. I became Randy Marsh almost immediately. I got into this server and discovered the same a-holes who beat the crap out of me 30 years ago, they're still there. And I distinctly got into the game and some dude jumped through the sky and shot me with a rocket launcher, killed me, and called me a bitch. And I wasn't mad. It was so nostalgically satisfying that I was like, yeah.
It's the authentic experience. Yeah.
It's Quake.
Yeah.
I'm back. I've been gone for 30 years. It's like some guy been on a desert island and I walked back home to my home bar I've been drinking in my whole life. And I walked in and there it was, just like nothing has changed. Everything's exactly the way it used to be.
Right. The bartender looks over and goes, where have you been, you son of a bitch?
Yeah.
You're like, give me the regular.
Exactly. That's what I got. I got my regular of being bad at the game, getting rocketed by some dude jumping through the sky.
Oh, man. Yeah, I played a bit online. Tom? We're going to go through all the good and the bad and stuff. But before we get into my experience of playing online again, I need to reminisce about some of this because this game was huge. This is the game that I had been waiting for and didn't realize that I'd been waiting for. I had friends who played it. I had a dial-up modem. I had to deal with terrible latency, but it didn't matter because the game was so cool to 17-year-old me that I was like, this is worth it. And my friends and I would play together, or I just played by myself. And there was so much to discover with this too, because this was early internet where people were doing all sorts of crazy stuff. They were modding the game. They were creating up very custom servers, running out of their own PCs.
We're going to talk about modding the game in a little bit, but
yeah. So all of that stuff. And on top of it, like Doom was spooky, but it wasn't real 3D. This game was real 3D. And the vibes of it were just so much better. I mean, Nine Inch Nails was the soundtrack. Like the music was no longer beeps and boops. It was actual music. And that was cool.
Yeah. Trent Reznor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They hired Trent Reznor to write a soundtrack. What?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I loaded it up again and I was like, oh man, it still just works. It still works. But I have to give people some perspective on this because when Quake came out, it wasn't normal yet to aim with your mouse and move with your left hand on the WASD keys, right? In fact, when this game came out, it didn't have, that was something they added in later was mouse look. The first version of the game, from what I recall, you couldn't even do that. So the way I played it is I would use the arrow keys on my keyboard with my right hand to move, and then I would map the bottom row of like Z through V as buttons that did things like switch weapons or shoot, and then spacebar would jump. And so I would have to do it like that, which meant that there was no strafing. You couldn't actually just move sideways. You constantly had to turn to move around. It wasn't very good, but it was still fun enough to play with. It worked out for me. But yeah, coming back for the first time, this game absolutely still holds up. It's an old formula. Yeah. But it works. The game it just still works. Yeah.
I think we're going to have a lot of good. I'll be candid about this game. So let's get into it.
Let's get into the good.
So the first one is the netcode. This game feels right. This is a first player shooter. It feels like a first player shooter. The way you play online, it operates correctly. You don't feel. It's funny going online. Again, I got my AS handed to me. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But if I go and play Call of Duty, that also happens. It's not, I didn't actually feel like I was playing something chunky or clunky. It felt good.
It is fast.
I felt online.
It is real fast still.
Yes.
Yeah.
You still felt online. I was like, whoa, this is serious. So I really have to give it that credit because you really don't think about that. Something that's 30 years old. And like, okay. Yeah. The other one too is you also do get, like Tom's point, you do get strafing, you get bunny hopping, you get all these types of things. I can't do any of that. I had to watch videos of people doing it. Candidly, I have no idea how to do those things, but you do get it. The skill set when you watch good players, because the other thing I had to do for this, I had to go, because I'm too bad at this game, I had to go back and watch video of, I was watching USA versus Germany championship from like the 90s or something like that. It's something of them playing it and seeing the skill set in the players. And you see, whoa, like just generally, whoa, this is serious what these guys are able to do. And it reminds me a lot of watching a lot more of the modern games of that level. These are, incredibly, you do have an actual input skill set you do learn. Yes. It's not a button mash. This is not Tekken 2. No offense, but it's true.
No. The whole game is about moving extremely unpredictably while also aiming extremely predictably all at the same time.
Yeah, it is. This game there is a skill. I wouldn't even call it a ceiling. It is just you need to have, if you have more skill, you will be better.
Right.
Another one, too, I will give a lot of credit for is the weapon balance. You do have very good weapons. They were not dummy fire weapons. Like a knock we used to have on Halo 1 when I used to play it back in the day was no rockets. We used to always say no rockets because it was just easy. Fire the rocket, just shoot in the general direction and you'll probably kill the guy. Not in Quake. Yeah. Even the rocket launcher in Quake, like it actually didn't have that much of a radius on it. So it was still you really did have to aim.
And the speed of the rocket isn't that much faster than your character once you're able to get up to max speed. So you have to lead and probably aim at the ground for where you think the opponent's going to be. So at least they get splash damage if you miss. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a whole thing.
You also had to memorize the maps. That was also what really separated people out, was ones who knew the maps, which is something, by the way, in later games, how critical is that in modern gaming? Like, do you have the map memorized? Yeah, then you'll probably win.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is where it started. And so the idea in early Quake was in a 1v1 matchup. If you won it, you were better. It was not, it wasn't luck. Occasionally might be, but it usually was you were a better player.
Right.
Also on that note is the map design. The maps were actually really, it's funny looking back on it, because again, I didn't play a lot of Quake back in the day. So now I'm looking back on it, doing the research for the show. I'm learning more and more about it. And I started looking at the way the maps were designed. The way that they would put like where certain key items were, where power-ups were, where the respawn spots were, they were kind of in the open. So the idea was you had to then fight for those spots, which then encourages, because again, obviously I play Warhammer. This is something we do in Warhammer. You want to encourage combat. You encourage conflict in those regions. So a good player knows that. They know, okay, if I go over here to get my power up, someone might be waiting for me.
Yep.
So
or
how
why
do
is
I
the
get
portal
this?
in the middle of this big round room? It's because now you have to run through the middle of the room in order to get to the portal, which means you're in danger. Yeah, you have to. That's a choice you have to decide to make. Yes. Yeah, you can tell that they had years of experience with Doom and Doom updates and Doom 2 before this came out, and that the team was really learning a lot from already making awesome maps in Doom. By the time we get to Quake, even the single player stuff, especially the DLC, I think is extraordinarily good.
Yes.
The distance between the quality of the map design in Quake versus Duke Nukem is night and day. Because when we did Duke Nukem, that was one of my complaints, is that the maps just aren't designed as skillfully as the ones in, say, Doom or Quake.
Yeah, the ones in Quake are like, there's something about the map, like the way that where the enemies are, it's a challenge. And especially when we get in Quakeworld. Yeah. I will say the social aspect of it, this also is going to hit the bad in a second, but it's in the good for now, and it will hit the bad because it does play in both. It is the first game with a global online competitive community. It was the first one to do that. Clans, ladders, tournaments, these were made by the community. This did it. The game did it, but the people weren't just playing a game. This game invented FPS culture. More on that in the bad, but
for now, at least it's good.
The positive.
Yeah.
And with that, it was also the progenitor. This game could not have arrived at a better time. Internet speeds are picking up. We are seeing the PC cost of PCs are coming down. The prevalence of PCs are there.
Graphics cards are now a normal component in gaming PCs, which had never really existed before.
This game kind of got lucky. It hit at the right time to do the right thing. And that's why it is very fondly remembered. And again, even for me, I'm not an FPS player. I don't have an issue with Quake. I still like Quake. It's just I don't play first-person shooters very much. But of first-person shooters, I like Quake. Yeah. It's just one of those genres I don't buy a lot of them.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's always not been your thing. Like,
but I like Quake.
Right. Yeah. So I've been a FP. It's funny. It's not like I play a lot of FPS games, but I get like there are different phases of my life where I've really gotten into them, and this is one of them. Now, having played this again, I'm not going to keep playing this and become a highly competitive player, because there are other games that are newer that I would rather spend some time in to explore them and learn more about them, because I already know a lot about this one. But yeah, going back to the id stuff, you talking about this coming out right at the right time. This is now 3 times in a row, maybe if you include Wolfenstein pushing technology to be able to do something that people couldn't do. Doom, taking that the next step, pushing PCs to do stuff that PCs didn't seem like they should be able to do. And now Quake doing the same thing with netcode and actual full 3D rendering. This is 3 times in a row within like a decade that id Software was right on the cusp of the technology, and then they made it work. They just figured out the right ingenuity to just make it happen, and had enough talent to not just write the code, but also make awesome games with good levels and all the other stuff that you've talked about. It really is like lightning in a bottle in one little place at one time.
They were incredible, the organization. But what else did you love about this game, Tom?
Okay, so I think you're right about the huge skill gap and the fact that has only grown over the years for the people who continue to play this as opposed to people who didn't. But that absolutely means that it works as it was intended, because like you were saying, there was no like you've played 100 games, and so your average rating is this. So we're going to group you with similar level people. Like there wasn't anything like that. It was you jumped in a game and you hoped you were at least in the middle of the pack. And if you were in the top of the pack, that was great. And if you were at the bottom of the pack, you needed to change some things and get better. It's just the way it was, right?
Yeah.
But the stuff that I really noticed was that even the old version of the game, if you launch it in Steam, you can launch the new updated version or the original version. Mm-hmm. And in the original version, it still ran on my PC great. It looked fine. Yeah. The new version, I could run at high resolution. I actually had it running on my super ultra wide monitor, which is basically 2 4K screens all in one screen, like super wide. I could see everything off to the sides. It was intense and it still worked and it was perfect. It was nuts. I also love the sound and the graphics, the level design, all the stuff that you've mentioned, the guns, the power ups, all that stuff brought me back. But we have to discuss some of the mods because that has changed. But if we go back to 1996, 1997, the way this worked was that you could host your own server. And I don't believe you bought or rented a server the way you can today to run games on. You would have a PC at your house and you would just run it out of your house. And hopefully you had fast enough internet that it could
remember doing this with StarCraft. Yeah. I remember doing this with StarCraft. Yeah.
So if you had crappy internet, maybe you could host 4 people against each other. If it was good internet, you could do 16 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then other people had to log into your server, which meant that if somebody wrote a mod and you loaded it onto your server version of the game, and then I loaded into your server to play that game, I would end up downloading your mod to play your mod on your server. And it was slow, but it was worth it because I remember at the time waiting for everything to download, like getting up, going and getting a drink, coming back, wondering if I was ready to play yet. But it was so every time you loaded up a new server, you didn't know what you were going to get because it wasn't like today where like you browse, I don't know, the Fallout mods and you're like, oh, I want to put this gun in my game or whatever.
I remember this. You'd load into the game and it's like sometimes you would load in and some of the mods were funny.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't.
Yeah, well, yes, there were different qualities and some of them rose to the top because you could see that more and more servers would start using certain mods and they put it in the title of the thing. And they would change graphics or sounds. They would add new guns. They would add special powers. Team Fortress felt like a mod among these other things. Capture the Flag started as a mod. But the one that I remember that was one of my favorites was it was a runes mod. And I don't remember the name of it, but throughout the level, runes would exist as pickups that you could pick up, and they would give you different powers, something like a grappling hook or shooting multiple projectiles or giving a really super powered melee that one hit kills things or turning transparent and being mostly invisible or being able to teleport where you shoot, things like that. Each rune did something different. And when you died, you dropped your rune. So they added this component of you wanted to hunt down the guy who had the rune that you wanted, kill him, take the rune, and then use that to kill everyone else. And in games where there were like lots of people in small rooms, the runes would just pop out and fly all over the place. So you just get random ones all the time. It was chaotic and crazy and fun.
Oh, okay, that's fun.
Yeah, it was good. I don't remember the name of it, but this was the experience in a nutshell. And this, going back into the game, totally brought me back with all that stuff. But aside from all of what we know is good, where's the bad for you?
All right, so in the bad, first and foremost, the learning curve on this game was brutality. It is the separation of good and bad is a Grand Canyon. This isn't a key mapping thing of like you go and look up a tutorial. Oh, okay.
Right.
This is, you have to master keystrokes. And if you weren't an early adopter of the game, this game was never noob friendly unless it was day one. You were just going to eat it. It was months of just eating it in these servers. It was ugly.
Yeah, you either got good and kept playing or you didn't, which is kind of the reason why these types of games that don't have some sort of matchmaking component that balances things became less and less popular, is because most people never got first place because there was always 1 or 2 or 3 people in the map who were just
going to get
head and shoulders above everyone else.
Yeah.
It would be like, okay, we're going to play mixed basketball, but that guy is a pro NBA player. That guy plays in college and I play on the weekends. So it's like, clearly I'm not going to have a shot.
Yeah. Now, another thing too, this is what I had to look up. It's something I learned in my research because again, no idea about this, but apparently, and I think I do remember setting this game up was rough. So Quakeworld, remember, this was a DOS game.
Yeah. Specifically, Quakeworld was tricky. Yeah.
Quakeworld. So Quakeworld was a free option that they released. In order to do it, you had to have your base Quake game file. Then you had to have a Quakeworld client, and you had to go into the configs and tweak it. This was a manual process that you then had to go and this was mouse sensitivity, network settings. All this had to be dialed in. This is not newbie friendly. These things were shared as text files on forums that you copied and pasted.
Right.
Forums, by the way, I want to point out, 1996, Google came out in 1998. It was not popular until the 2000s. Ask Jeeves came out in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
There was no search engine, guys. This was something you had to ask around for to try and find.
Right. What website did you get that from? Did they have instructions? Yeah. Where can I look that up? I didn't realize Quakeworld existed until probably 2 years after Quake came out, even though it was a pretty early release to go with it. Yeah. That took a while.
Because it took a while for people to actually make their own mods.
Right.
So that you could then basically install Quakeworld, for lack of a better phrase.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if it was 2 years later. It was enough time went by that I was like, oh, this is a thing. And somehow I had been able to play on games. I think what I was doing, now that this comes up, is that if you look at the multiplayer settings in the basic game, you can input a web address, like a TCP IP address. Yeah. And I think what I had to do was I was going to sites that listed servers and then manually inputting the numbers into the address because there wasn't a server browser yet. That's what Quakeworld added that and other things, if I recall correctly. Yeah, that's how I was playing online, but Quakeworld made a lot of it real easy and eventually added details where you could do things like change the resolution of the game, which blew my mind. I was like, holy crap, the game can look even better? What?
That tracks. That is, but let's get to the real two problems. Okay. Problem one were the people who played it. This game was brutal. The servers that Tom mentioned were hosted by people, often clans, who hosted their own. And clans, now the difference is they were not password protected. You could join.
Right.
And the basic viewpoint, though, was if you're not good, why are you in here?
And if they wanted to make room for other clanmates, they would kick you without even telling you. You would just all of a sudden drop connection and you would go. And you could tell who was in the clans because they would put their little clan like letter code at the front of their name in little brackets. That was the thing.
Yep. Yeah. It was really ugly. These guys, they were mean. It was brutal. They would just gang up on you too because the clan wasn't trying to kill it. They were just trying to kill anyone who wasn't in the clan. It was rough. The community was bad, and this is a toxicity that still exists today. So, hey, they also created that. Go team.
Yeah. I think this was more of a less that they created it than they made a thing that exposed something that is just a fundamental feature of human nature.
Quake didn't make this. It was just the first one to go, oh, so a-holes will play this too.
Oh,
yeah, a bunch of them.
Right. Yeah, people are human beings can be jerks, and they also group up together to be jerks on other people. Who would have guessed? Yeah.
The other one that also came into this was cheating.
Yes.
This was very early on. Aimbots, wall hacks, they were all over the place.
Yes.
You would people who, because this was competitive, there was no money, but it was competitive and it was very easy. This isn't being run by Quake. These are local servers. And so people are able to go in there, and the only way to really figure out if someone's cheating is to visually watch them. The wall hack was easy. I could see you walk through a wall.
Yeah, it was more that they could see through a wall before they turned a corner. So I would figure this was the thing that drove me. It wasn't the toxicity, not toxicity,
Yeah, yeah.
toxicity.
Yeah.
I'm tangling my tongue here. The toxicity wasn't as much of a problem for me as the fact that there were so many people who started hacking the game. And then you would die and you would watch, you would spectate them and you could see where they're tracking something. They're looking at a wall and they're clearly tracking something. And then they step to the side of the wall and they get a headshot, or it's not even headshot still yet, but that became Counter-Strike where they would do that and get headshots, right?
Yep.
That was a problem. Absolutely agree.
The game became, this was where, and this is something that they've been trying to fight ever since. So
yes,
there you go.
Right.
What about you, Tom? What else?
Yeah, I was going to make a joke about how you just needed to get good, but I'm not going to be that mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cheating was annoying. All of that was a problem. The game just revealed human nature, in my estimation.
Oh yeah,
but
it wasn't the game's fault. But it was online community. This was the first one. This was the first online community with a lot of online community, and I'm skipping over obviously the alt-right elements. I'm skipping over some of the other stuff that also came up that became very problematic with it.
Oh yeah.
Those go without saying.
Yeah. One of the things I remembered when I was playing this was the different kinds of usernames you'd get from people were very different back then. You get an occasional, like, really off one. Oh, well, this is highly racist or whatever. Yeah. That happened. You get some that were just goofy jokes, but it always felt like a good, I don't know, third half of the match were people with like, I don't know. Remember the 90s were so edgy and there was the whole goth thing. And Quake was like a dark kind of spooky looking game. So you'd have people like Murder Satan 69 or Fragmaster 666. And people would like names like that all the time, which I thought was hilarious because they all just started to look like each other. And I was like, well, now you're not even being unique. You just look like everyone else on the server. But then my buddy James, who was my best friend in high school, he and I played this game a lot from our own homes, and he and us and another guy would get together and join a match together to at least have friends on the server.
Right.
And we started joking around with these guys because their text chat was a thing, right? You could trash talk people and stuff. So he became Jesus and I became Moses. And at some point we had a third one that was like some other biblical character. Noah, maybe? I don't remember. But the joke was that we would hunt down Murder Satan and Fragmaster 666. Yeah. And when we'd get kills, we'd say things like, bless you, my child. And we nobody could tilt us because we would just get to the point where we would just respond and be like overly accommodating and say things like, well, now you get to go to heaven. Stuff, stupid crap like that. So it became a meta game that we would play inside the game against people who took it way too serious and all of that. So I do remember that as well. But you're right. The fact that even existed at all meant that there was a toxic culture that we could push back against and joke, make a joke for ourselves. But it absolutely was there. So, okay. So back to the game. In conclusion, where are you with this for other people? What do you think?
I do think because you can go back and play it, if you play first-person shooters, you should go back and play Quake, especially Quake Online, just to see it. If you play online shooting, go check out Quake. Yeah. You're not going to like it in the sense that you're going to get wrecked.
Well, you will be playing with people who most of them have been playing this for years and years.
You are going to get wrecked because they do not server match you.
I was in the middle of a server. Like there were two guys that had like way high scores. And then I was kind of in the middle. And then there were two guys who had played the entire time with no kills. Zero kills for the entire match. And I was like, oh, you guys, these must be the looky-loos. These are the guys who just popped in to be like, hey, what's this game like?
What's this game like?
Here you go.
Not fun. Yeah.
Good luck. But yeah, I think people should play it if they are interested. If you are an FPS fan and you have not played Quake 1, look it up. It's not expensive. Play it. See what you think. I think you're going to see a lot of things. The graphics look old. But unlike a lot of these old games, the other stuff doesn't feel old at all. It feels like the kind of game that if an indie studio put this out today and Quake hadn't existed back then, I would totally have been like, oh, well, this is just a current game. It just feels like a regular game to me.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those are our thoughts. We'd love to hear your comments as well. Speaking of comments, we'll be back in just a minute to go over some of your comments. We're getting so many, I have to try to trim them down. We still have a bunch to go over. So if we don't get to everybody's, I'm sorry, but we're doing the best we can and we got some good ones. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, we are back. And if you've been enjoying the show, if you want to help us out, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Those are great because they get disseminated out into the internet, or you can leave a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen to this on, or leave us a nice comment. Also, if you enjoy us as hosts, you might like our other shows. John does the 40K Lorecast. I do the history, or he does the history of 40K. I do the Fallout Lorecast, the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, and the Lord of the Rings Lorecast. I'm getting all sorts of stuff tongue tingled, however you want to say it. Anyway, let's talk about comments. We got this one from John West on the Pool of Radiance episode. John says, "So glad you reviewed this game. Curse of Azure Bonds was one of my earliest, fondest gaming memories. Playing on my old 286. I had a 286. That's an old PC. That's an old IBM style PC for those of you who didn't know. I think that was the only game from the series I played, though. If I were to go back and play one gold box game, what would you recommend? Note, all of them is not an acceptable answer, as I have a young family and still need my sleep."
I would do Gateway to the Savage Frontier. If you then beat that, there's only one sequel to it. It's Treasures of the Savage Frontier. But Gateway came out in 91. It's one of the later ones they released. So it was they learned a lot from it.
Really, a little more polished.
Game.
Yeah.
A little more polished. Yeah. Gateway to the Savage Frontier.
Nice. Joshua on the Final Fantasy 1 episode says, "As someone who replayed this on my PSP within the last 2 years, it's still a great game to this day. Highly recommend to anyone. Future games to play, the 1990 classic Army Men by 3DO, and of course, the Ogre games." I remember Army Men, and I remember of the Ogre games. I don't know that I played them. I don't remember.
Army Men was fun. Ogre games I'm trying to remember back to, but Army Men was super fun. Yeah.
Yep. Jerky Time says on the Final Fantasy episode, "No, John, save yourself. Stay far away from Street Fighter, the movie, the game. It is awful.
Ugh.
Owned it on PS1. The only thing that makes it even slightly worth it is watching the equally terrible movie and trying to decide which is actually worse."
I cannot believe they made a video game out of that movie.
Of course they did. They got to cash in.
So confused.
Got to make all that money. Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, game, let's make a movie about the game. Now let's make another game about the movie about the game. It's just turtles on top of turtles. John on the Pool of Radiance episode says, "I support the idea of a Retro Recall movie edition." This is something John and I have joked about, but I don't know if it'll become a thing, but it might be like a one-off episode. That could be fun. We got one from Mark on the Pool of Radiance. This says, "If we're talking D&D, I, born in 93, just finished Planescape Torment. Would love your opinions on that style of game."
Planescape is wild, man.
Yeah. My brother was real big into Planescape Torment. I think I played just the intro, and then we only had one computer. So if he was at the computer the whole time, I didn't get to play. So
Planescape is, if you are into RPGs, is probably storyline one of the best RPGs ever made.
It's super weird. It's super weird and dark.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. It is, your choices really matter. There's so many elements of it. It is an exceptional game. It is hard for a lot of players though, because you can play it a ton of times.
And it looks really old at this point.
Oh, it looks like garbage. Yeah.
So there is that. But there's a good game buried in there somewhere. You just have to get through that part first. Thanks for the recommendation, Mark. Brian on the Pools of Radiance episode says, "Really want to go back and try Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 now. I got started with AD&D in college, but played a rogue, so I got completely stumped by magic trying that game out. Love the movie idea, and it would be fun to have a movie month." Oh, man, more movie stuff.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Great games. They're not gold box good, but they are really fantastic games. I played them, obviously. I played a ton of them. Thought they were well made. Was happy that they made them at the time. Neverwinter Nights, also really good.
Yeah. And there's a lot of connective stuff to Baldur's Gate 3. So if you've played 3, you can go back and play 2 or 1, and you can kind of see some of the origins of the story and some of that stuff. Thiebert, maybe, on the Pool of Radiance episode. "I couldn't agree with John more. Second only to the XCOM series. Love the podcast. Can't wait for a new episode every week." Yeah.
I mean, XCOM. Oh, God, XCOM's good. Oh, XCOM's good.
We'll get there one day. We'll get there. David Albie1 on Pool of Radiance. I'm going to say Pools of Radiance. Pool of Radiance says, "AD&D was the best part of my younger years and made my best friends playing it. I love this cast so much. Brought back so many good memories. Please cover the first AD&D games like Ravenloft, first person AD&D games like Ravenloft." And I'm going to butcher this.
Menzoberranzan.
Menzoberranzan?
Menzoberranzan.
There you go. or however you spell it. Shut up, I'm
Shut
drinking.
up, I'm drinking. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Menzo Brains is like, those ones were rough. The only problem is the issue is the first person D&D games were storyline good, gameplay terrible.
Yeah, some of the Might and Magic games were that like first person perspective, but you had a party with the heads down at the bottom.
Exactly. That's what it was. Yeah. They were really rough to play. So,
yeah. I remember them not being super balanced feeling. They went from feeling really, really hard to just super overpowered at times, and that stuff fell off. But yeah, good recommendations. Who knows? Maybe we'll do more D&D stuff in the future. That could be cool. Steve says, have you guys considered the Hercules game similar to Lion King, but not as hard, also for 1988? Can't believe John didn't mention Seventh Son by Iron Maiden, the greatest metal album ever written. Keep up the good work from the UK.
Yes.
Greatest metal album ever written.
So the reason why I was like, really? And then I saw UK. And that's why Iron Maiden are awesome. Seeing Iron Maiden in the US is boring. Seeing Iron Maiden anywhere but the US is an experience. Like, I wanted to see them in Japan. I want to see them in sort of, because they are, the level of popularity, the show performance. Yeah. I have a lot of respect for them. Yeah. Candidly, I'm not a huge fan of them, but I have respect for them. That's my viewpoint on Iron Maiden. Mm-hmm. But Hercules, the video game, 1988. What is this?
Hercules out in 1988?
Well, there's a cartoon in 1988.
Was that the cartoon? Was the cartoon out in 88? I feel like it came later, but maybe it didn't.
Don't know.
I don't know. Those dates for things are weird. But yeah, this is not one on our radar. Thanks for putting it on our radar, Steve. Charles the Monkey says, Tom, you need to make John play The Elder Scrolls Redguard. That game is insufferable. John, do you know much about Redguard?
I have no idea what that is.
So this was one of the spin-off games. It came out before Morrowind. It was the first game that Todd Howard was the lead on. And it is insufferable. That's the Charles the Monkey says insufferable. It is insufferable. The game has some interesting lore and story stuff, but all the voice acting is weirdly annoying, and you're a Redguard pirate on a ship, but the controls don't work very well. It was supposed to be more actiony, less RPG. It's kind of its own thing, and at this point would be very difficult to even get through. But might be worth putting on a holy crap, this game exists kind of list for another one of those months that we suffer through things. And then we've got one more from Big Sippin' on Pool of Radiance episode. Wow, never knew that D&D games went back as far as DOS. It's really eye-opening to see how far games have progressed, while some areas they have regressed, probably due to the focus on more graphics than hardcore RPG elements. Would you guys be interested in playing Gauntlet? Would love to hear your thoughts on the series, and I look forward to every new episode. Keep up the great work. Yeah, Gauntlet was great. Yeah.
Gauntlet was amazing. I played a ton of Gauntlet, and it was interesting. I played a bunch of Gauntlet in a very rare place. I used to go to Italy for the summer because that's where my family is. So we'd go over there, and there was a place near my grandmother's house that had an arcade. And Gauntlet was one of the arcade games. I used to play a ton of Gauntlet back in the day. And I put lira into it. That's how old I am. It was lira. Ugh. Anyway.
No euros. Got it.
Yeah, it was pre-euro.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I remember playing Gauntlet in the arcades too and thinking that game, it really stood out for some reason compared to other games at the time. Maybe it was the 4 players all running around a map together. Maybe, I don't know, something about it was really cool.
Yeah, and then it was Pac-Man. But
yes, it was Pac-Man with a wizard and a warrior and all of that stuff. But then eventually it made its way to an NES version and other versions of the game. But I remember thinking it was real cool before I realized that really it was just a good way to steal all your quarters, because the game would just never let up. You were always going to die within the next round or two.
Yeah. Pac-Man.
Yeah. Basically. Yep. There you go. Well, thanks for all the comments, everybody. It's always so fun to get everybody's reactions. And if we haven't been able to get to your comments, I'm sorry. I got to keep it trimmed down so we actually get through an episode. Otherwise, it would only be comments for an entire episode.
Right.
But what are we doing next, John?
So next week, we're doing a different take on another progenitor. This week was Quake, which was the progenitor of PC gaming online. Next, we're going console. We're not going online because that won't be available for another decade or so. But we're doing 1997 Nintendo 64 releases GoldenEye, which flips the script on gaming with friends. all of a sudden we get 4-person Golden Gun death matches becoming a Friday night staple amongst friends. We're going to dive into GoldenEye, and sure, the game, there was a single player campaign. Who cares? What this was, actually
really about playing with your friends.
Who cares? It was about sitting with 4 controllers and there's 2 people probably waiting in the wings. Depending on your age, you were either drinking beer or soda or whatever, and getting ready to swoop in depending on who died and what, in whatever order. This game, this was huge because this was the first time we went from what was basically like Street Fighter, which is 1v1, into a group setting. And this is for me, the first time I can remember the jocks playing video games.
Yeah, it was the first real competitive with your friends, first person experience on a console that actually worked well. There were games that could do it, but this one actually worked well. And everyone loved it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it next week. I think it's this and then Mario Kart are the 2 that I think cross the barrier from, call it out, guys, nerds into non-nerds playing video games in a high volume.
Right. Well, I mean, when you can headshot your friends, that's going to be a lot more entertaining for the jocks in the room.
Yeah. It opens up a lot. So that's next week. I'm excited, but I will be probably also complaining after playing a bunch of GoldenEye and having to look at N64 graphics for a week.
Yeah, and it's also, I'm not going to have other people in a room to play with. So there's going to be that element too. It's going to be like, I'm going to have to talk memories on that one.
I have it for the Switch. I'm making my wife play with me. She doesn't know it yet.
There you go. Oh man, maybe I should do that. Oh man.
Yeah. Just force the family to play with you. We're doing this. It's Friday night. It's game night. Why? No one's going to be happy.
We're all going to go to bed miserable.
Yeah.
Get ready. It'll be fun.
This is it's called bonding.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you then.
Take care.
Recall.
Robots Radio. Games. Lore. Stories. Community. Just press play.